Empires shaped the world we live in, but some of their customs, let's just say, they were wild. From skull flattening and human sacrifices to wine sweetened with poison. Today, we're diving into the wildest traditions in history, and you get to guess which ones are real and which ones are totally made up. Let's kick things off with a quiz. I'll describe a bizarre ancient custom. You guess real or fake. Custom 1. In the Inca Empire, people used llama spit as shampoo. Fake. Custom 2. In ancient Sparta, boys were publicly whipped in front of cheering crowds. Real. Custom 3. The Ming Dynasty emperors watched live cricket fights in golden cages. Real. How did you do? Keep score in your head or brag in the comments. Beauty standards in ancient times. Let's just say they took no pain, no gain way too literally. Foot binding in ancient China. Girls' feet were broken and bound from the age of 5 with the goal of having 3-inch lotus feet, a painful status symbol among the elites. The practice was so entrenched in Chinese beauty standards that it took nearly 100 years after the Qing Empire collapsed for it to be eradicated by efforts from multiple governments, with the last Lotus shoe shop closing in 1999. Skull shaping, the Mayans. The Maya believed that the elongated skull protected a defenseless baby's soul. Secondly, it elevated one's social status. The elongated heads of those in the upper echelons of Mayan society distinguished them from the peasantry. Other cultures, such as the Huns, Alans, Tiano, and Membentu, practiced some form of cranial deformation. Techniques varied. Some of these groups only bound the heads of women or used cloth instead of wood. Wine. Greek intelligence versus Roman poison. The Greeks never drank wine undiluted. They mixed it with water and held symposia, philosophy parties with poetry and music. One person, the symposiarch, decided how strong the wine was. No wild pouring, it was a controlled vibe. Romans, however, loved sweet wine and boiled grape must in lead pots. This made a sweet but toxic compound called lead acetate. Result? Gout, hallucinations, infertility, and possibly widespread elite lead poisoning. Some believe this even contributed to the fall of Rome. Power and pain. Spartan boys entered military training at 7, and they were encouraged to steal. Just don't get caught. Whippings were public. Endurance was everything. The Aztecs performed massive human sacrifices. They believed human hearts kept the sun rising. Mongols built pyramids of skulls after battle. Enemies often surrendered without a fight out of pure fear. Time for another quiz. Which of these ancient customs is real? A. Vikings gave fermented shark meat as wedding gifts. B. The Persians made every decision twice, once drunk, once sober. C. The Babylonians wore blessing bells to ward off sneeze demons. The answer? B. Persians believed drunk and sober decisions had to match for a plan to be valid. Ancient diets, strange things they ate. You are what you eat, and ancient empires had some truly wild meals. Romans loved a fermented fish sauce called garum. It smelled terrible, but they used it on everything, like ancient ketchup. Aztecs ate insects, lizards and salamanders. Want delicacy? axolotls, now endangered. In ancient Egypt, onions were sacred. Workers building the pyramids were paid in onions and beer. The Mongols drank fermented mare's milk called kumis, slightly alcoholic and super funky. The ancient Greeks believed beans contained the souls of the dead. The great philosopher and mathematician Pythagoras even banned his followers from eating them. Bizarre justice systems. Law and order wasn't always about fairness. In ancient India, trial by ordeal meant suspects might have to hold red-hot iron or fetch a ring from boiling oil. If they survived, they were innocent. The Code of Hammurabi, an ancient Babylonian law code, had over 280 laws. One example: if a builder's house collapsed and killed the owner's son, the builder's son was executed. Eye for an eye, literally. In medieval Europe, some trials involved dunking accused witches in water. If you floated, guilty. Sank, innocent, but possibly drowned. The Vikings had outlawry, a total banishment from society. You could be killed on sight and no one could help you. Weird royal habits. Powerful rulers often had powerful quirks. Emperor Nero performed music while Rome burned. He fancied himself an artist. Louis XIV of France held royal toilet ceremonies. Nobles competed for the honour of handing him a towel. Queen Elizabeth I used lead-based makeup to appear pale. It damaged her skin and possibly her brain. Chinese emperors of the Tang dynasty kept miniature poodles and peacocks in their courts, and sometimes banned people from wearing colours they liked. Some pharaohs married their sisters to keep the bloodline pure. It didn't help genetically, but it kept the crown in the family. Ancient beliefs and superstitions. The ancient world was full of mysterious beliefs and rituals. Romans believed sneezing expelled the soul, so they'd say, "Jupiter bless you." Greeks feared the evil eye, believing it could curse or sicken you. Amulets were worn for protection. The Celts believed the veil between the worlds was the thinnest on Samhain, the festival that inspired Halloween. In ancient Mesopotamia, demons were blamed for everything from migraines to nightmares. Exorcisms involved chanting and potions. Some Chinese dynasties burned paper replicas of money and cars, believing they'd reached loved ones in the afterlife. Weird Ottoman practices. Now, the Ottoman Empire ruled for over 600 years, and their customs were just as strange as they were powerful. One of the most infamous traditions was the law of fratricide. When a new sultan took power, he was allowed to execute his brothers to prevent civil war. Sultan Mehmed III had 19 of his brothers and half-brothers strangled in one night. The Ottomans also had a massive royal harem. It wasn't just about pleasure, it was political. Women in the harem could rise to immense power, especially the sultan's mother, known as Valide Sultan. Some sultans had bizarre habits. Sultan Ibrahim I, nicknamed Ibrahim the Mad, reportedly threw entire sacks of gold into the sea and ordered his harem of 280 women to be drowned over a single rumour. Coffee was once considered treasonous in the empire. In the 1600s, drinking coffee could get you beheaded because it was thought it encouraged rebellion. Even executions were theatrical. Some involved being strangled with a silk cord because shedding royal blood was forbidden. Strange, strict and symbolic, the Ottomans definitely left their mark on history with some of the most extreme customs ever recorded. We've covered beauty, pain, poison, justice, food and even flatulence rituals. Yes, those existed in medieval courts. Here's one final bizarre custom. In ancient Japan, aristocrats practiced oheguru, blackening their teeth with iron and vinegar. It was considered beautiful. So, with this History Facts channel video, which empire had the weirdest tradition? Which one would you never want to live in? Comment below with your favourite. And don't forget, history is strange, but understanding it makes our present just a little less weird. Like, share and subscribe for more time travel into the bizarre.